Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Wakimbaloye at Channels Television's global headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. Let's begin by telling you that the Senate Committee on INEC has begun its screening of the nominees of President Muhammadu Buhari for the position of INEC National Commissioner. Ms. Loretta Onoche, the aide to the president on social media, was one of the nominees who faced the lawmakers today, and she said she's not a member of the APC. Take a listen to what transpired today.
You swore to an oath, an affidavit, rather, in the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory. I don't know whether it is. I would want you to take a look at this document and confirm whether it is your own or not. In paragraph 3 of that affidavit, it said that I am also engaged in active politics and a member of the Neighborhood Watch, and has also contested the local government elections under the Conservative Party in the United Kingdom. I am also a member of the All Progressives Congress and a volunteer at the Buhari Support Organization.
Since 2019, when President Muhammadu Buhari won his second term, I have removed myself from anything political, not even anticipating that I will be here today defending my nomination to INEC. It was never in my, I never envisaged it, but here I am. Since 2019, I have not had anything to do with any political organization in this country. Even Buhari support organizations, I have not had anything to do with them since 2019. So when APC decided to do a proper registration of their members and to revalidate their membership, I did not take part in that exercise. So as I'm sitting down here, I am not a member of any political party in this country.
You just heard the Special Assistant to President Buhari on social media, Ms. Loretta Onoche, defending our nomination before the federal lawmakers. Before we get into our conversation tonight, partly security and the other side, the crisis that is brewing in Imo State House of Assembly. Before we get into all of that tonight, let's serve you with some of your political roundup stories.
The dust raised by the recent defection of the Zamfara state governor from the People's Democratic Party to the ruling All Progressives Congress appears to be unsettled, as the youth wing of the APC is asking the leadership of the party to consider the expulsion of Senator Kabiru Marafa over what they describe as anti-party activities in the state. The defection of Governor Bello Matawalle last month threw the state chapter of the party into some form of leadership crisis, as both Senator Marafa and other APC stalwarts in the state argued over who becomes the leader of the party in Zamfara state. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, says the commission is targeting the registration of over 100 million voters ahead of the next general election in 2023. Professor Yakubu made this known at a meeting with a delegation to the Malawian Electoral Commission, who are in Nigeria to understudy the country's electoral system. The ongoing nationwide online voter registration in Adamawa State is witnessing a low turnout of people in the state, recording 1,112 fresh registration out of a total of 203,497 in the past 1 week. The resident electoral commissioner of Adamawa State, Kasim Gaidam, made this known during a media briefing in his office in Yola, the Adamawa State capital. The commissioner therefore appeals to stakeholders to enlighten residents to take advantage of the remaining days for the online pre-registration to avoid congestion when the physical registration commences on July the 19th.
Memoranda that we received.
The Cross River State Governor, Professor Ben Ayade, has promised a massive infrastructural intervention and about 39-kilometer roads linking the warring communities and collection of data of the youth in the areas affected by intercommunal crisis in the state. He made the commitment at the governor's office in Calabar while receiving the report of the Peace, Reconciliation and Rehabilitation Committee on the warring communities of Ebom, Ibijagara and Idiba Usumutong in Abi local government area of the state. The crisis rocking the Kwara State chapter of the All Progressive Congress is far from over, as both factions are calling for the suspension and sanction of the governor. While the faction loyal to the state governor are calling on President Muhammadu Buhari to remove Lai Mohammed as a minister, the other factions are also threatening the state governor with sanctions for anti-party activities.
All right, then, let's begin tonight with some sad news, partly coming from Kaduna and Yobe State. Suspected Boko Haram insurgents have attacked the Katako village, 18 kilometers away from Damaturu, the Yobe State capital. Some of the residents told Channels Television that the attackers drove into the community in an armored personal carrier and 6 Toyota Hilux vehicles mounted with anti-craft guns. Residents who fled to bushes for safety said insurgents might have come to loot foodstuff, today being the market day in Katako village. However, some of them also said that the military had ambushed the insurgents while returning to their base. Katako community was last attacked in March 16 when the terrorists burned down blocks of health facilities. And in Kaduna State, bandits have attacked Ugwan Matari Sabun Tasha in Shikun local government area of Kaduna State, kidnapping no fewer than 14 people. The bandits were said to have invaded the community, which is adjoining Bwagi village towards Romi River at about 11 p.m. on Wednesday night. They began shooting sporadically before moving to some houses where they kidnapped residents. A landlord and some of his tenants are among the victims. The incident occurred barely 3 hours after more than 121 students of Bethel Baptist School in Shikun local government area were abducted by bandits on Monday. But the immediate past chairman of Shikun local government area, Mr. Saimala Lima, told China television correspondent that a total of 14 members of the community were kidnapped by the bandits and taken away to an unknown destination. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police has visited Governor El-Rufai and has assured that the force will tackle manpower issues. He also admonished officers and men of the Kaduna State Police Command to redouble their efforts toward tackling emerging and contemporary security challenges in the state. Well, let's talk to some of those who can give us perspective to this security situation. I'm being joined from Damaturu, a former federal lawmaker, Senator Alkali Jajere. Thank you so much, Senator, for joining us. And from our Abuja studio is a retired military officer, Major General Henry Ayola, a former commander, Operation Safe Haven, and a security consultant. Let me begin with you. Good evening, General. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Some sad news coming from the northern region of the country, Kaduna, and also in Damaturu. First, let's touch on Damaturu, for example. Yobe, for example, where Boko Haram has struck again. For some time, we've not seen so much of the activities of these insurgents in Yobe State. But now we are seeing that, and we understand, and some news coming in is that some of the insurgents were double-crossed at some point after the late siege on that community. Give us a sense of what perhaps could be happening. There is a change in baton between the late Chief of Army Staff, and there is a new Chief of Army Staff who has said that he will ensure, interestingly, he's the commander of the Eden Saki operation in the northeast region of the country. Give us a sense of what you know about what has happened today in that area.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Good evening, viewers. Well, let me start with the good news. I like to put it this way. Judging from what we know about developmental process, what we are passing through as a country is what I would call a transition phase in that process of development. And the good news is that it offers us some opportunities, ample opportunities, really. It's a case of opportunities in diversity, rather in adversity, where we can identify that within this set of challenges, concurrent attacks from the insurgents, from the bandits, there are ways and means by which we can come out of this transition phase and transition crisis and be able to chart a new course for the nation. There are alternative and superior ideologies that we can deploy that will help us to chart this course and transit from this phase to a new beginning where we too can enter into the virtuous cycle rather than the vicious cycle we've been going through and become a modernizing nation. Having said that, like you rightly said, Sheung, the attacks of the insurgents have not been this much on the Yobe side. I mean, we know that the concentration of the insurgency had been more on Borno State than Yobe all along. So this appears like some deliberate opening of new fronts. It's a way of diverting attention in one sense or expanding the scope and opening new fronts so that they can whittle down the issue of, the advantage of concentration of force on the part of our forces. So we also need to do a counter strategy, but not necessarily yielding to them and still being able to have a balance of force in dealing with the challenges at hand.
But if you look at what is happening in that part and some of the effort, because some of the stories that we are hearing is perhaps some of the Super Tucano aircraft that Nigeria asked for and purchased. Perhaps you might be getting some of the deliveries perhaps earlier than envisaged. And for those who have said, look, what we need is more equipment to fight this war and prosecute this war to the end. Some also will argue that, look, it is a sign of this dying insurgents, especially when we saw the friction between the ISWAP and the local Boko Haram insurgent. But what do you make of what is happening when they kill, when they maim, or they attack, and they go on the run? How porous is the border, and what could be done in that area? Because we understand that some of the attacks happen just about 20 kilometers away from Borno border, bordering Yobe and Borno State.
Well, thank you very much. All along, both Borno and Yobe have been part of the theater all along from the beginning. Don't forget, if you recall the history of Boko Haram, it actually started from Yobe State before they moved to Borno. And then, Maiduguri became their epicenter, and then thereafter they began, before, of course, the killing of Muhammad Yusuf. Yobe has been part of it, just that it was not their center of gravity, it was not their center of activity that, at the time they went violent. And it's been, sporadic, once in a while kind of attack that we have been seeing before. But I think one way for us to approach this, while we wait for equipment and weapon and armament that the federal government had ordered, I think it again makes the case for the need for states to be able to do something at their level. And that brings me to the recent interview, the presidential interview granted by Arise TV. And the president himself made a very strong case, which I think the governors can really run with. Let me put it this way. That interview brought out a number of very positive things that the president said about what the states could do. And the first thing is to actually say it's a vindication of the fact that security is first a local issue. And so it's best dealt with at the local level. He also went further to more or less amplify the fact that self-defense is a universal right, is a divine right, is a given right. The Article 51 of the UN Charter talks about the right of the inherent right of individual or collective self-defense. And premise on these two, the governors have a leverage here. to run with what the president has said in a way, to take it as a tacit approval from the highest level of the executive. Of course, I mean, simply so, but not too, not taking it too simply, is to see it as an expression of intent from the highest office and a declaration of principles that they could use to further this case for state police. And we have, I mean, as the chairman, national chairman of the Restructure Actualization Movement, this being our turf, and we are glad that the governors have come to our page, and we are willing to help to drive this push to see it as a watertight case that the president himself had made for the governors to take it up from there if they have to pursue it by having an executive bill presented for the necessary adjustment in the exclusive list, and of course, pari pursue with some devolution of resources that will help them. If not, we'll just be transferring the same problem at the center to the federating units if we don't ensure there is a concurrent devolution of resources to give them what they need to run a more effective state police than is being run now at the center. So these are the ways I see we can approach this, so that while we wait and while the best can be done by what the armed forces have on ground, hoping that with better equipment and better armament, they'll be able to do more. I think the states could be helped also to take advantage of this window of opportunity that the president has thrown to them. We are willing in the Restructure Actualization Movement to help to drive this and see it to a conclusion. That's my suggestion for now.
Yeah, let's get some insights on the ground. We have Senator Alkali Jejere, a former senator from Yobe State, who is going to be talking to us from Damaturu. Thank you so much, distinguished Senator. It's good to see you from your time at the 7th Assembly. Thank you so much for coming. Give us a sense of what is happening. It's been a while we heard about any attack whatsoever from Yobe State. How did this happen? What are you hearing? What have you been told about what happened on the ground?
There is a very unfortunate with the competence state of the they are not out of the
It appears, Senator, I don't know, it's difficult to get your audio properly. I can barely hear what you're saying. Allow our engineers and guys in the control room to fix that just in a moment before. Let me go to Abuja studio and we'll come back to you after we fix that. General, let me come back to you. With what we have seen, always there's been this talk about the air support and the land support in fighting the synergy that is needed in fighting this war. The big question is that a lot of us who have been to that region, the northeastern region of the country, know how vast that land is, some of the ungoverned territories in those areas, and how large the border is, making it easy for these insurgents to operate and move outwards. But how easy is it to synergize? And what are the kind of sophisticated modern weaponry to be able to prosecute both on the ground and aerially to prosecute this war?
Yeah, thank you very much, Yung. Well, let me start from the last part of the question. I don't think it's strategically wise and operationally safe to at least the kind of weapons and armament that they will need. But to say that I'm encouraged by, and I think the last time I was in your studio in Lagos, that was my parting comment, that there is an obvious jointness, better cooperation that is being seen on the battlefield and among the the commanders and the service chiefs, and so that's a plus for us, on the armed forces side, and for us as a nation, really. So it's just to make the best use of that by ensuring that we maximize that cooperation, and that the services can cover one another, and I'm sure with that it will help to really accentuate the punch with which the armed forces will handle this. So that's obvious. The other thing really is that I think we should bring that jointness, or what I would call a unified effort now, is the area of intelligence. That's beyond the armed forces. I know there is a whole lot of capacity on intelligence with the DSS, with all the intelligence arm of all the other paramilitary organizations in the nation. If we form a unified board of, an intelligent unified board, so that we can bring in a convergence of effort in that area, so that all operations can be fully intelligence-driven,
all right,
and that we can improve our real-time intelligence.
Okay.
With
General,
the use of all the technology available, like a UAV. The nature of this operation really brings to the fore the importance of intelligence in operation. And I mean, basically all operations are driven by intelligence, but much more when it comes to insurgency, where you have a hybrid kind of warfare. We need to have real-time intelligence. And so there is a need to bring all the resources we have. I've made this case again and again. The need to even expand our intelligence community as a nation. There are many capacities in the academia, in the private security sector, in several other areas where there are people who are specialists in different fields and who can, be brought, in a closed setting where everybody can bring to the table, from his core competence area, and we will have better intelligence. And then, our efforts will be better coordinated and for effect. That certainly is one area. I've also written paper about effect-based strategies and effect-based operations. I remember when the president visited Maiduguri last time, I was making that point, that the encouragement that came from the president also should be capitalized upon. We should see it as more or less a national security presidential directive, and use that to drive the operation. Use that to bring as many other agencies that will be of help on board, to partake, to participate, and bring in their best, so that at the end of the day, we are giving our collective best as a nation. That is a very important aspect that will help the operation generally.
So, well, let's take a break. And when we come back, we hear from General Ayola on the issue of the kidnap in Kaduna State. How can we stop this spate of kidnap? Why is Kaduna vulnerable to these bandits? And what can be done to stem it? And of course, we'll go to Imo State and look at the crisis rocking the Imo State House of Assembly. Stay with us, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. We have our eyes on what is happening, the security situation in Kaduna and Yobe State. General Henry Ayola has been talking to us. Technology just developed his mind of his own today, and everything seems to have been done to get Senator Alkali Jajere seems to being frustrated tonight, just for us to get information and insight into what is happening in the northeast region of the country. But let's take a look at what is happening in Kaduna State. The Inspector General of Police was there on the ground visiting the governor, Nasir El-Rufai, and there are a few things that he said. Perhaps we can get to hear the Inspector General of Police on his visits to Kaduna State, the hopes of getting those that have been kidnapped back, and the effort of the police in that state.
Now, in a courtesy call on the governor of Kaduna State, His Excellency Malam Ahmed El-Rufai, while on a familiarization tour to the command. So I paid him a courtesy call, but we have used the visit to discuss issues relating to security, how we will go about it to make life easier for law-abiding citizens of this state. It is true lack of manpower is a challenge. We are making effort to overcome it, but challenges are always there. They are surmountable. We will use what we have to the best of our knowledge and ability to do better. But very soon we will overcome the issues regarding the challenges of having the increase in manpower. You can motivate by punishment, you can motivate by reward. So I will use the two.
Okay, so let's get to hear from General Henry Ayola on the situation of the abduction that we've seen over and over again in Kaduna State. Give us a sense. Why is Kaduna vulnerable to these to these bandit attacks and this sort of kidnaps that we have seen? Another one has happened in this Chukun local government area. Why Kaduna?
Yeah, thank you very much, Sheon, for that. A question that I'm very passionate about because if you know my background, I grew up as a young boy in Kaduna and then went to school in Zaria and back to Kaduna. So my life had really revolved around Kaduna for a long while. I was about 6 times in Jaji, which is midway between Kaduna and Zaria. So anything that touches Kaduna really touches a very important place in my heart. Kaduna has always been a melting point, an ethnic, ethno-religious melting point where, all kinds of all ethnic groups are met in Kaduna and lived peacefully, amicably and all of that for a long time. So again, you would then wonder why it's now that same Kaduna that is a target for the bad guys, That means they are really hitting us at our center of gravity as a nation. So again, when you look at the geostrategic location of Kaduna, it's it's more or less like the center state of Nigeria, bordered by several states, So, and that apart from having many ethnic groups, and all of that, and of course there are areas where, the outskirt areas. I remember in those days we used to call Kaduna small London. That's what it was for us as small boys. That was the highest of civilization we saw then. And so when you look at the outskirts of Kaduna, there are many, many villages that are removed from, the developed areas, by distance and all of that. And of course, that will be attraction for these bad guys.
Okay.
And it's not an easy thing. These are not problems we can solve in a jiffy because they are developmental problems. And, it's Frederick Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd president of America, who says that fundamental problems can never be solved from the same knowledge level from which they are created. So we have to raise our knowledge levels in so many things that we have to deal with. I've always suggested the need to create think tanks, strategic think tanks on different aspects of these challenges so that we can synergize, and then synthesize the best of solutions and bring them to the fore. So that the operators, the military and the paramilitary can even be freed, to face the challenges that are peculiar to their own different services, where their core competencies can be brought to bear. And then we can have some retired persons from these different services and agencies and other, even younger generations who have ideas, who can bring to bear. I laughed when you said there's a major military formation in Kaduna. Well, headquarters, a whole lot of headquarters of formations are in Kaduna and training institutions. But it's these same people that are involved in all of the other operations right there in the Northeast and other parts of the country. So there's really nobody who is idle somewhere that you can just pick on and say, oh, because they have nothing doing now, so let them go here. And of course, it's not even practicable to think of posting the military troops to every school. We have so many schools in our country as a whole. And we just have to think of some local security arrangement that will help to deter and improve response time when these things occur. Using technology, for example, using drones, using cameras, and then, of course, taking advantage of the national emergency centers that are there, tying up these facilities in such a way that can help to reduce response time. It's a very unusual problem. It's not something that anybody will have prepared for, And so we just have to think of the best, that maybe form a team of the police, the civil defense, where it's practicable, of course, within the limit of the areas of responsibility of these different services. And the intelligence arms of some of these other paramilitary organizations, so that they can be positioned in such a way they can respond to SOS calls from some radius within their reach that will cover some of these schools. That's what I can think about, that in the interim, other than a grand strategic approach that we really call for a higher level of knowledge that we need to deploy. Now, let me say a little about that, in rounding up. In the restructured actualization movement, we are thinking of the idea of championing elite conversations that will lead to elite consensus that will help us to come with grand strategic approaches of solving these problems. I talked about alternative and superior ideology earlier. There are also, approaches to dealing with banditry and insurgency, beyond what we are doing now, that will, be at that grand strategic level that can then be devolved down the line, so that some of those at the tactical level can then apply them, These are the kind of things that can help us. We have to think outside the box. We have to think of things that are beyond our current level of knowledge and training, and bring everything we can bring on board. Lessons from other parts of the world, lessons from Israel, from the Middle East, from Pakistan, from Afghanistan, and all of those. Some of these papers have been written on them. Maybe we need to dust them up and bring what is useful in our own circumstance, of course, bearing the peculiarity of our own environment. But again, to round up with the good news, all of these happening are giving us ample opportunity to cross this transition crisis stage of our national life and be able to birth a new Nigeria, one nation under God, that will be able to fulfill that manifest destiny that our forefathers saw, and that made them to go with one resolve to ask for the independence of this nation. And I pray that God will help us to get there. Thank you very much.
Major General Henry Ayola, thank you so much for talking to us tonight on the program. Some perspective that you have shared perhaps will give insight onto what else do we need to do in moving forward in tackling some of these insecurity challenges. Thank you indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you, Sean.
Crisis is brewing in the Imo State House of Assembly. There have been reports of sporadic gunshots and pandemonium at the Imo State House of Assembly earlier today, following the suspension of 6 lawmakers by the Speaker of the Imo State House of Assembly, Paul Emezim, over alleged unparliamentary conduct. 4 lawmakers of APC and 2 lawmakers of PDP were suspended. The lawmakers are former Majority Leader and member representing Ikeduru State Constituency, Uche Obwagu, member representing Obawa State Constituency, Kennedy Ibe, and member representing Oru West Local Government, and Dominic Ezerioa. Others are member representing Ezenhite Mbise State Constituency, and Yadike Unwosu, member representing Owerri North, Philip Ejiogo, and member representing Hite Uboma Oyemechi Njoku. The House also removed the member representing Indiato North, Arthur Egwim, as the chief whip of the House. We have Honorable Arthur Egwem joining us from Owerri, the Imo State capital, to give us his own side of why he has been removed as a principal officer of the Assembly. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us tonight. What happened? What led to your removal? And why the gunshot? Perhaps let's start from the gunshot. There were sporadic gunshots that have been reported. What led to that?
Well, thank you for having me. I think the gunshots, I wouldn't know what led to it because we were inside the plenary and waiting for the drama by the speaker, Right Honorable Paul Emezim, when what was happening in the House at the chamber was against rules of Imo State of Assembly Study Orders. So as a ranking member, what happened today to me is like what's supposed to happen in Banana Island. So the gunshot was, I think that question should be directed to the speaker because he prearranged all these things. He arranged talks from wherever to come and attack us. So I don't know. To me, I don't know who brought the gunshot because I noticed there was heavy gunshot. More than 21 guns, more than 32 guns was shot at outside the plenary. I don't know what happened.
So let's get it clear so that people, because in people that were watching tonight can get a sense of what is happening in your assembly. There are about 20-something, 21 or so members. Am I right? In the House of Assembly.
27.
27, correct. And
Yes.
the APC holds the majority seats in the Assembly, isn't it?
Yes, please.
Yeah, you are a member of the APC, are you?
I am, from representing it, that or not.
Great. So, and the Speaker is also a member of the APC, correct?
You are right.
Okay. Okay, good. So I'm giving all of this premise so that our viewers can get a sense of what is happening. In assembly of your nature, the number matter. So when we wonder, the accusation or the allegation against some of you is your unparliamentary conduct. What did you do? What exactly is your offense?
Well, to me, I'm the chief whip of the House. I was a chief whip during the 8th House. I was a chief whip during the governing. I was minority. I'm the chief whip of our amiable governor, Governor. Surprised what a non-ranking member can define as unparliamentary conduct. Yesterday, we were at the plenary. The speaker horribly adjourned the sitting to next week. We were surprised at 1 a.m. The clerk of the House sent out a message through WhatsApp that we have to convene. As a lawmaker who is presenting my people, I was at we were at the chamber by around 10 o'clock in our respective offices. But we noticed there has been division in the House. The speaker is so much to his own wisdom, which I don't know. Has his own 12 men that he said his own, his caucuses, and all along they have been chunking bills, they have been chunking motions, resolutions, and we felt that this is unparliamentary, and all this is happening. We've not been able. We kept our cool. So surprisingly today, we went to we went to the normal plenary, but we noticed we were supposed to sit around 11, but the speaker was not there till about 2. He suddenly drove in with his group. And when I even have a motion listed on the order paper today, and I had my motion, which was on item 7. After the motion, which was passed by majority, the speaker just stood up and said, the next motion is supposed to be at item 8. Speaker said he has an announcement that all the standing committee has been dissolved. Standing committee has been dissolved. That office of the chief whip has been dissolved, and that these numbers of members we started mentioning. Everybody was because yesterday, this very yesterday, I still went to the deputy speaker, who is a friend. I said, Deputy Speaker, what is happening in the House of Assembly? Because for over 6 months we've not seen our governor. People are complaining of welfare. What is going on? Ever since this Paul Emese, we've not been able to see our amiable governor. Through all this unknown government, all this, we've not been able to interface with governor. What is going on? And the chief whip said there's no problem. I said, but I noticed that I've not been carried along with what is happening. The deputy governor, the deputy speaker told me that it is rumored that I'm hobnobbing with former governor Rochas Okorocha. I said, what? Governor Rochas Okorocha is my brother. Popus Odema is my brother who gave me money when I was sick. Why are you people bringing an OPEC something? I said that shouldn't happen. And I left him. I never know there was something happening. So to me, I don't know what's happened now is even I'm at crossroad because I don't know what happened. Nobody have told me because according to our rules of the House, Order 11, for you to be suspended, for you to be for anything, the matter has to be referred to ethics and privileges. Nobody reported any matter to ethics and privileges. The speaker just, in so much of his own wisdom, suspended his fellow members who are representing their respective constituency, and decided to say, my office is hereby abolished. That's what he said. I said, office of chief whip is abolished. So I don't know whether Atebim has been sacked because he didn't say that. He said, my office has been abolished, and there's nothing like abolishment of office in our order. So to me, as a person, I'm confused and lost. I don't know what happened.
Okay, so a lot of Nigerians, we don't dwell on rumors right here. We dwell on facts, we dwell on the news, and we dwell on real events that happen. But there are inferences into what is happening in Imo politics, where some of you are said have been disloyal to the executive, the ruling APC, or perhaps the faction of the APC, the ruling at the end of affairs in Imo State. Is that true that some of you are falling? There are now factions in the House, some loyal to the governor and some disloyal to the governor. Is that a true representation of things on the ground politically?
It's a misrepresentation of the fact. So I will inform you that last weekend, an APC office was open in Idatonot. I was there, and the interim chairman of the chairman of APC was there. I even made donation during the last exercise, the validation of voter. I gave 500,000 to quicken the process. So I don't know where this issue of you are not loyal. Loyal to who? The highest leader of the state of the party is Governor Popus Odema, who is a very good, wonderful job.
Honorable, some of you have agitated that you wanted to interface with the governor. Is that part of the grievance, perhaps, that has been fought right now?
Yeah, we like the governor is our father. We've not seen him formally since 6 months. For over since September. We've not been able to see him as a group. I had to agree as chief whip of the House. We've not been able to meet with governor. I don't know what is happening. The speaker has not called a meeting of the principal officers. And the members are agitating that they don't have some of their statutory rights, like our land. Like this is 2 years, we don't have constituency allowance. And our rent is due for the 2 years. We're saying to the speaker, if you cannot represent or take us to the governor is different to fault. But he will not do this. So to me, and people as a chief whip of the House, and as a ranking member, I don't dance to the gallery. I've never commented on the WhatsApp group, but he single-handedly picked people he felt that are not, I don't know, because it's simple to me that what happened today.
But specifically, when you say your welfare, it seems some of you are worried about your welfare. What exactly do you mean by your welfare? Is it that your salaries have not been paid, or your allowances
No. Our salary is being paid as at when due. The governor is doing wonderfully well. But what we are saying here, what I mean by welfare, some of our constituency allowance, our constituents, the money they are paying us is enormous. But that money is paid to you 2 days, you are broke because some of us borrow money. We want to see our governor so that they can give us constituency allowance as ascribed in the budget that we pass. We want to see the governor so that our land can be given to us. We want to see the governor as our governor. But the speaker, for whatever reason, blocked us. is creating a barricade for us meeting with the governor. And we can't just walk into the government's house that want to see the governor. Personally, I'm not a sycophantic person, right? Because I'm an elected individual and the chief whip. But for reason best known to the speaker, he has not even made available for us to still speak at the governor. We say, let us meet the governor. The governor is a lovable man. Even during the day, the unknown, what is happening, the security to say, help us arrange meetings so that we can meet with the governor and sympathize with him. Paul Emese refused. So the thing is boiling up, and I don't know whether, because people are commenting on WhatsApp, trying to throw their anger, if that is why, what is they mean by unparliamentary conduct, I don't know. So it is best for you people to get Paul Emese, the speaker, for him to expatiate on what he means by unparliamentary conduct. But as far as I know, in fact, I've not been around for me to come in and for him to visit me with he said my office has been abolished or something, I don't know. So to me, we members are agitating because the welfare, and if members are agitating like this, whatever that will join us together will be poverty. And if poverty join us as members of the House, it is not good to the executives. But we are not praying for it to get to that level. That's why we are asking right now that some of the welfare should be given to us. Such as these are subtle things. But Paul Emese, with his cohort, blocked us from meeting the governor, that which I don't know.
So what are you going to do going from here now?
Well, I believe the governor is a listening governor, a former parliamentarian. He will actually call off a meeting. If he doesn't call off a meeting, then we'll take our fate by hand. I'm not going to. Some people have said, when I was elected, they didn't elect me as chief whip. I was elected as honorable member representing the data, and I'm doing wonderfully well as a legislator. It's a job that I love. I left my comfort zone as a practicing lawyer to come and be in the Kenya. So to come and be in Owerri, and that's the job I love to do. So, but I will not go. People say, why am I approaching that approach? But the governor, believe me, will settle this because members, this way, some of us, like I was a member of AA, some of us decamped from our respective party to APC. You know that because of the person of distinguished Senator Hope Uzodinma, who is a lovable man, a giver. But our speaker, unfortunately, I was the man who wrote the speaker. I was the one who moved motion. When the other speaker, I was the one who would move on for his nomination as a speaker, but unfortunately, it's one of those things in life and one of those in politics. So up to now, I don't know if anybody asks me what I've done. I don't know. Nobody have called me for any panel. Nobody have called me for any committee to come and explain that misconduct. Only for him to come up today and say he has suspended his members and that a whim should. I know I'll be the next person to be. I don't bother care because what I need to face is for me to give dividends of democracy to my constituents, and that is for me to bring the very honorable motion and bills. Unfortunately, and another thing, Sheung, what is that is bothering us that, do you know that since this amazing ball of a guy came into as speaker, we've never treated any member bill. He convenes the House only when there's a executive bill. And some of us who are ranking members, who are lawyers, say this is not how to go. Because I can't go to, if you call me down, I don't have anything to show that this is what I've done in the data or not. I should be able to tell my colleague and my children that during my time in the Imo House of Assembly, these bills and these motions were my name. But the man only reconvene the House when there's executive bill. And that is not how to run a parliament.
Honorable Arthur Egwem, the chief whip of the Imo State House of Assembly, who was removed earlier today. Thank you for your thought. We've reached out to the Speaker of the Imo State House of Assembly. Unfortunately, we're not able to get him to talk to us tonight on the reasons for the decision for removing you and 6 other members suspended today. But of course, we're hoping to also hear from other members who are loyal to the Speaker and the House of Assembly. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us tonight. And that's how we end the show today. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm Sean Okimale. Bye-bye.